Hi everyone. So today I thought I would do something a little bit different. I'm a big Beatles fan, and one thing I've always liked about them is that their lyrics are applicable to a wide variety of situations. And the last few days I've realized that in many cases that's also true of kind of the current COVID situation with quarantine, social isolation, social distancing, etc., that most of the world now finds itself in. So I put together a list of 10 sets of lyrics from different Beatles songs. This is both as a group and their solo careers that I kind of thought tied in nicely with the whole COVID situation that we're now in. So I'm going to do this as two videos. So do five of the songs in this video and the next five in another one. And I'm going to try to sing them more or less, but I'll warn you, I don't have a great voice, but I will put links in the description so you can actually hear the original versions by people who do truly have musical talent. But anyway, so I'll start off by saying, okay, so number 10 is going to be from one of their early songs. But before that, I'll just mention another of their early songs, I Want to Hold Your Hand, which is a big quarantine social distancing fail. Okay, if there's someone whose hand you want to hold, that's great. But unless you're actually around them all the time, that's probably a pretty bad idea right now. You can, maybe tell them you'd like to, and save it for a later day where there's no risk, and we can socially mingle more freely once again. Okay, but so number 10 is the song Don't Bother Me, which was actually the first song written by George Harrison which ever appeared on a Beatles record. And this was on their second album with the Beatles, released in November 1963. Now, their US albums and UK albums didn't quite always match up, so I'm sort of giving the album that it appeared on in the UK. And in that, he offers some good quarantining advice. So go away, leave me alone, don't bother me. Okay, so the rest of the song is actually about someone who's been dumped by his love interest and is just really down about that and doesn't want to deal with anything or anybody. Now, what George Harrison actually wrote about how he wrote the song, and I believe this was in his autobiography. He actually had the flu, and this was like when Beatlemania was close to its height, and nobody would leave them alone for even a minute. So, and he was sick, and just like, go away. I need to rest up and feel better, and then I can deal with the rest of the world. So actually, the origin of the song is actually extremely relevant for quarantining. Okay, so number 9 is a John Lennon song from his first solo album, Plastic Ono Band, released in 1970, and it's called Isolation. People say we got it made. Don't they know we're so afraid? Isolation. We're afraid to be alone. Everybody got to have a home. Isolation. Okay, so there's a couple of things in that song. This situation and, the isolation can make a lot of people afraid. I hope you're not. And we can be afraid of the situation out in the world, or just, afraid, as the song says, of being alone. And, so if you're feeling that way, it's important to acknowledge those feelings. But remember, you're not really alone. You might be by yourself, but there are other people in the same situation. We can all think of each other, send our good wishes to each other, and reach out to people. It's a good time to reach out to people. Another thing that's mentioned in this lyrics, everybody got to have a home. So one of the things about sort of shelter in place, quarantining yourself, working from home, that assumes you have a job and a home and other things. So people who are homeless, don't have a safe environment or a stable environment, really need our help to get through this. And so it's, I'd encourage all of you to think of people who, are in, difficult situations in this, and, what, you might do or to aid others to help them. Number 8 is Eleanor, Rigby, which was written by Paul McCartney. It's actually was credited to John Lennon and Paul McCartney, but by most accounts, Paul McCartney wrote it largely by himself, and that was from Revolver in 1966. So, Father Mackenzie, writing the words for a sermon that no one will hear. No one comes near. Look at him working, darning his socks in the night when there's nobody there. What does he care? So that raises some interesting concepts. How much of what we do is for the benefit of other people, or predicated about other people seeing what we do? He's, wordsmithing his sermon, but if there's no one there who's going to hear it, what's the point? And he's darning his socks because, he's supposed to be nicely dressed, not have holes in his socks, keep up a good appearance. But if there's nobody around, does any of that have any meaning? And that can be kind of a disconcerting thing in this sort of an environment where, how much of our life and our actions are given meaning because there's other people around us, and how much, are we doing what we do for ourselves, or because we think it's intrinsically meaningful, or is it for the benefit of others? And is the meaning lost if the other people aren't physically there? So kind of some thought-provoking concepts, at least to me. Okay, next song. This is by Ringo Starr. Now, he only wrote a couple of songs with the Beatles, but they're both actually somewhat applicable. An Octopus's Garden might actually be kind of a nice place to socially distance. A Yellow Submarine, maybe not, unless you were sure that nobody else on the submarine had been exposed. Otherwise, it could kind of be a disaster. But number 7 is Don't Pass Me By, which is on the White Album, officially titled The Beatles, from 1968. I hear the clock a-tickin' on the mantel shelf. See the hands a-movin', but I'm by myself. I wonder where you are tonight, why I'm by myself. Okay, so it's kind of, you're just sort of stuck in stasis in the song. He's waiting for his significant other to come home, and then finds out she's actually been in a car accident, and there's a few ways to interpret it. I'm not sure quite what I think the correct interpretation is. But anyway, you're just sort of like, yeah, the clock is ticking. I'm aware of time passing, but I'm just here by myself and, waiting for something to happen that never seems to be happening. So the message there is that, the social isolation, has lasted quite a while, at least where I am. But and we don't know really how long it's going to last, how long it needs to last. There are many indications that it is actually helping slow the rate of the spread of the disease and giving our medical people some breathing room and holding the number of fatalities down. So, thank you for all you've done. And I just want to give a little, word of encouragement, in spite of, the song, that it may seem that, time is just going by and nothing is happening. Trust me, it is. So number 6 is a little bit on the same theme. This is a song, Lennon McCartney, written by Paul McCartney primarily, Fool on the Hill, from Magical Mystery Tour in 1967. Day after day, alone on a hill, the man with the foolish grin is keeping perfectly still. And then a little bit later, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. So this is kind of a little bit on the same theme. He's just standing alone on a hill day after day, keeping perfectly still. It's like he's in stasis, but yet time is passing around him. So this can, mean, I think in the original song it was just referring to someone who kind of is maybe not engaging with life, but maybe not engaging with life is precisely what we need to do to the extent that it's appropriate and we can right now. So anyway, that is the first 5 songs. And I'll be back with the second 5. And be well, stay safe, and thank you for watching.